with the Astros and Ronel Blanco. What a stretch he's had. Made the team in spring training late. He had only made 8 starts in his career prior to last night. Made the ball club last Tuesday, walking off the mound there in West Palm Beach. And he gets to start yesterday because of all the injuries. After rotation, Urquidy out, of course, Garcia out of there, and not to mention Verlander. He makes the start against Toronto. The Blue Jays up and down, and the Astros coming off a terrible series against the Yankees. Bullpen beleaguered, and he goes out there, he throws 105 pitches and throws a no-no against the very good offense. An inconsistent offense, but a very good offense in the Blue Jays. He walks Springer twice, but he throws 105. Give a spotter a lot of credit for letting him go all the way. Had a great slider in this ball game. Slider fastball combination, and again at 30 years of age, he just had a child, a daughter, and he goes out there and he mows down the Blue Jays in a game that Houston, I know it sounds crazy, 5th game of the season, but with their 9-game losing streak at home and going back to last year, and the fact the Yankees walked in there and ripped their hearts out 4 straight days, the Astros get the job done. That takes away the bitterness of that Yankee series, and Blanco superb. So give him credit, 100%, 30 years of age, out of nowhere, and he pitches a no-hitter. Only 2 walks, only a couple of plays late. Abreu dove to his right, made a play in that 9th inning, and Blanco pitches a no-hitter. And again, I give a spotter a lot of credit. Let him pitch 105 pitches in that spot. Very rarely does anybody allow any pitcher manager to do that, much less in July, but never in early October. So early April, I should say. Earliest no-hitter in the history of the sport. Yes, earliest no-hitter in the history of the sport. I think Bob Feller is the only one who threw a no-hitter on opening day. Earliest no-hitter in the history of the sport. That was in 36 for Feller. I believe it was 36. And, of course, great job by Blanco. So that's number one. And the big win for the Astros, I know it's April 1st. You don't go crazy, but they did have a rough weekend. So that's number one. Number two, I've watched a lot of the Yankees. You couldn't help not watch the last 5-6 days where I live. A wonderful performance against Houston. Soto, of course, has been superb. Volpe looks like he's a different kind of player. They're getting all sorts of contributions. The kid pitched very well last night off the Tommy John. I don't know why he took him out. Boone, 4 2/3. He was an out or so away from getting a win. I know he was on a pitch count, and he's coming off an injury, but let him get a W. Jeez, come on. My God. It takes him out of the game. He was sharp as heck. And then the Yankees, of course, did what they do offensively and beat the Diamondbacks out in Arizona. Their offense has been superb right now. They scored 5 runs. I mean, the Yankees has got it going. I mean, their lineup is excellent. And LeMahieu in that lineup right now, and obviously they got a little bloop single by Cabrera, who's done a great job himself, filling in for LeMahieu at third base. Soto's always in the middle of things. He's taken millions of pitches. And the Yankees, you could just sense it. Last year, the very disappointing season, the big trade they made to get Soto in the off year. Soto with Judge 2-3 in that lineup. Torres leading off. You talk about the Dodgers at 1-2-3, and rightfully so. How about the Yankees at 1-2-3? I mean, that's as good as it gets with what they're doing. And the Yankees right now, they're going to beat, I think they're going to beat the Diamondbacks 2 more games. They got a lot of juice. They got a lot of momentum. They feel very good about themselves. They have won 5-0. It's only the 3rd or 4th time in the Yankee history that they've won 5 straight games. Even the '98 team didn't do that. The '98 team struggled out of the gate. Even the '98 team didn't do that. None of those Torrey championship teams did that. It's been a long time since the Yankees season 5-0 in the American League East, and you just like the feel of them. You like that. I've been doing this now a couple days in a row. I've been paying attention. I'm on top of it, and the Yankees are going to have a big year. I mean, they really are going to have a big year. Soto is he loves it here. He's good in the big stage. He's going to love Yankee Stadium with that swing. Austin Wells had a big game last night. He's going to hit 20 homers. The catcher at Yankee Stadium with that swing of his. I mean, the Yankees are good. I mean, the Yankees and Orioles got a chance to be a hell of a race in the AL East. I mean, I don't know about the Red Sox, Tampa, or the whether the Toronto can hang around. That looks like a hell of a race between Yankees and Orioles. Orioles. I think that might be a 1-2 deal in the American League East. So that's number one. And I'll tell you about the Mets, and I've been on this theme too. They're trying to split the needle, and it's very difficult. Yes, we're competitive. Yes, we have a chance. Yes, we have an opportunity to make the playoffs with the 6 teams in both leagues. Why not us win 83, 84 games? We think we can do that. I don't see it. I think the Mets are going to have a long year. Their offense is going to hit eventually. J.D. Martinez will return. I understand that. They can bring, or they can say everything they want about, well, if you lose 4 in a row now, what difference does it make if you lose it in June? When you start the season 0-4, it sets a terrible tone all year long. If you lose 3-4 games in a row in July, June, August, you can overcome that. To start the season winless for the first 4 or 5 days, terrible weather, the crowd booed them off the field in the 10th inning. That is where it gets dicey, and the feeling of the franchise feels bad. That's the difference between losing 4 in a row to start the year and losing 4 in a row in the middle of the year. There's a huge difference. 4 in a row, middle of the year, you've established a tempo, a foundation of what your team is about. You do it right out of the gate, and all of a sudden everybody, and especially in New York City, and then the Yankees 6 miles away are on fire. Don't tell me the Yankees don't pay attention, the Mets don't pay attention to that, because they do, because the fans do. The Met fan does. And then the Braves are playing well. I got a bad feeling about the Mets. Their pitching is terrible. Last night, notwithstanding, Manaea did a nice job, pitched very well. But their pitching, I don't love at all. They haven't hit it all. This Alonso thing with this free agency is going to loom. McNeil's been a disaster. The whole thing over the weekend with Hoskins was stupid. The pitcher thrown behind Hoskins' back was asinine in the 8th inning on Saturday after Hoskins was Babe Ruth earlier in the game, and now the Mets throw behind his back. Mendoza looks a little overwhelmed. I have some issues, and managers can't appeal. He had a 1-game suspension. Be very careful about the Mets, and it's not like they're losing to the Dodgers and the Braves. They're playing the Brewers and the Tigers. Let's take it easy. I know they're competitive, but geez, and they have been a mess, and so I'd be very, very concerned about the Mets right now as far as the NL East. And remember, the Braves and Phillies are good teams. I'd be a little concerned about Harper. Speaking of the Phillies, he has not done anything, and he had a terrible spring training. A lot of people think he might have a bad back. I'd be a little worried about Harper here out of the gate. He's got some issues, and the Phillies haven't played well. That's neither here nor there. The Mets are what concerns me. And then, of course, the Pirates playing very well. Good win yesterday. They've won 5 in a row, all on the road. Again, lightweights. They're beating the Marlins, the Nationals. They're not beating big teams. But the Pirates, they're not a team that's going to sit there and turn their nose up against any major league team. Anytime the Pirates get a win, it's a good deal. I don't care who they're playing, even Oakland. And so the Pittsburgh Pirates at 5-0, that's an excellent job for them. We give them a little credit. And again, Alfred mentioned Detroit. Their bullpen's been lights out. They have not been scored upon. Again, the White Sox and Mets, they're not playing the heavyweights in the American League, but the Tigers, who haven't had a lot of success lately, even for Hinch, nice job for Detroit and on the road. So Pittsburgh and Detroit you like. The Yankees I love. Blanco does a wonderful job, and I'd be very, very concerned about the Mets. I hate the look of it. I hate the vibe of it. I don't know what they're trying to do. Oh, we'll be in the pennant race, but, we're going to rebuild. That, to me, is very dicey. I'd be very worried about the Mets if I was a Met fan. I know the Met fan is worried about it. I talk to them all the time. They're very concerned. This could be a long year at Citi Field. Nobody's fault, but it could be a long year. That's where we begin. McAdam in a bit on Lucchino, and here is our pal Alana. She'll get us going. Ms. Rizzo, take it away. What do you have for me today?
I'm not certain that it's not anybody's fault in New York. I would be a little concerned right now with the start that they got off to, but it seems like when you're scuffling that bad early out of the gate, a seasoned manager like a Buck Showalter could kind of turn things around quickly before this turns into the 1988 Orioles where they lose 21 in a row. So again, I wasn't really big on the managerial change. Again, it's probably not all Carlos Mendoza's fault. I'm not suggesting that it is, but this is a team that spent a boatload of money, and they're off to a horrific start this year. They don't have the pitching. I mentioned that yesterday, and I agree, Sean Manaea pitched really well for them, but overall, the Mets don't have the pitching to be able to get things done. Now, as far as the Houston Astros are concerned, Good for them. And Joe Espada needed that win, right? As a new manager in Houston, you get swept in the first series of the opening weekend. And Ronel Blanco took it upon himself to get the job done. And what a couple of weeks it has been for this kid, Chris. He welcomes in his second daughter, his second child, finds out that same day, that same afternoon, that he actually made the big league roster for the Houston Astros, and then goes out there and throws the first no-hitter of the 2024 season. No-hitters are rare and special, certainly not as special or rare as perfect games, but this was done against what can be a great offensive team. But the Toronto Blue Jays are so erratic. It's a hitter-friendly park, we get that. And the offense for the Astros really backed him up as far as that was concerned. But the Blue Jays are really an all-or-nothing offense. In the the 2 wins that the Blue Jays have had so far this season, Chris, they've averaged 8.5 runs. In the 3 losses that the Toronto Blue Jays have had so far this season, they've scored a run, and they've averaged a run per game. So it's feast or famine for the Toronto Blue Jays. I get that Bo Bichette's not fully healthy. He's been out of the last 2 games with that neck injury, but the window of opportunity for the Blue Jays is closing with the services of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. I think they're free agents in the next couple of years. So overall, this is a team that's hitting 184, which is second worst in the big leagues. Not to take anything away from Ronel Blanco's performance. What's crazy is what you alluded to earlier. In this day and age, when starters barely throw 5 innings, he threw a complete game. That's key. The calendar. Normally, pitchers pitch their first or second time through as far as the outing is concerned. They finally get to 85 or 100 pitches. He was allowed to go 105. And maybe Joe Espada's like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to win a game because we're 0-4 so far this season. But good for him. Congratulations to them. It's kind of like a throwback game, and you love to see it, Chris.
100% right. I'm with you. I love the fact that Espada let him pitch, and I think part of it was the bullpen. But what the heck? He's 30 years of age. Give him a chance. Good job, Alana. 1 note. Feller 40 was the no-hitter. I think it was against the White Sox. I had to double-check that. 30. It was the White Sox. 36. It was 40, not 36. My error there. We will eliminate the "and" to get us going. We will do baseball here, and we will have a guest on in a sec. Larry Lucchino. Very unheralded, at least from a public standpoint, not in the industry standpoint, who was the CEO of the Red Sox, San Diego, the Orioles, long time ago, rings from all sorts of sports. He was on the Washington Redskins, got a championship, a Super Bowl ring back in the early 80s, got a World Series ring with the Orioles, Red Sox, part of 3 championships, president and CEO, had a lot to do with the ballpark building at Petco in San Diego, and of course Camden Yards, very first of its kind in Baltimore, sort of the mentor to Theo Epstein right out of the gate. That's, Theo's one of the all-time great GMs going to the Hall of Fame. Let's not forget that. He's in a couple of Hall of Fames himself with the Padres and, of course, the Red Sox. 3 titles. Larry Lucchino, very, very unheralded, a very instrumental figure in sports, ballpark construction, trade orchestration, teams that won. There's a lot to say. Remember the Padres in 96, 98. He was the president and CEO at the time in San Diego. So a lot of unbelievable accomplishments, and he passed away at the age of 78 in the last, half a day or so. We will talk to Sean McAdam, who covers the Red Sox well. We'll do that in a little bit. So we want to make sure we start the show with that here. It just came down about 10, 15 minutes ago that I saw with Larry Lucchino. All right, so we switch our attention now to baseball. As far as last night is concerned,
There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front.